Let's get you to one of those places, kind of become the poster child for hot weather, and that is Phoenix, Arizona. Meteorologist Mike Seidel is there. Mike, it seems like the records have fallen left and right here in the Valley of the Sun, but I want to ask you this. You were recently in San Antonio. How would you compare the heat there in San Antonio to the heat you're experiencing in Phoenix?
I've been thinking about that because we were in San Antonio last month. It was 103. The heat index was 115. Here, 118. The heat index is also 115 because it's much drier. Humidity yesterday was, 4 or 5%. And I'm trying to close my eyes and kind of take myself back and think about today. And it's a really tough question. I think sitting in the shade with no wind moving, it may be a little bit more comfortable here with the same heat index, although the temperature here 15 degrees warmer, but it's a toss-up. Meanwhile, I can show you what the temperature is like in the sun. In fact, I had this on the rock a few minutes ago. It was up around 150, and the thermometer doesn't even read that high. So right now, I'm holding it here, and it's just below 140. The actual temperature at Sky Harbor right now at 10 a.m. local time, 10 a.m. is 106 degrees. Again, we do that in the shade, and that's 1 degree below yesterday. Yesterday, 119, hottest day they've had in 7 years, and they've only had a handful of days hotter than that since the 1800s. We're out here at Encanto Park on the pond, and there's nothing going on out here, obviously. People are not coming out. The amusement park does open up on the weekends. It'll be open up Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as we cool things off in the evening around 5:30 or so. It opens up, and it will be a little bit cooler by about 5:30 or 6, but not much. It drops off very, very slowly in the evening. And we'll show you around Arizona. The heat has been exhaustive. It's been expansive. Despite the record highs, it's how long it's been going on. But look at this. 110 and plus. How many consecutive days in a row now? At 20. We broke the record 2 days ago. And in the mornings, it's not cooling off. Yesterday was the hottest morning on record since the 1800s, 97 degrees. And we're at 10 and counting. We're going to do 10 more days on the morning and the afternoon highs and the morning hot lows, Mike. Just incredible how we're stretching this heat together. And unfortunately, this has been a very deadly heat wave. Yesterday, 6 more fatalities reported by the Maricopa County Health Department. That brings the toll so far here in this county to 18, statewide in Arizona to 20.
Yeah, the numbers are staggering when you think about the toll that the heat is taking. Mike, thank you so much. Interesting to see there's literally nobody out there. Let's head to Phoenix right now with meteorologist Mike Seidel. Mike, it's hot no matter where you go across the West right now, right? And there doesn't really seem to be any relief in sight. This could go on for the rest of the month, if not beyond that.
Yes, you look at the big heat dome, you look at the jet stream, and I keep looking at every additional run of the American model, the European model, and it just keeps this big dome. Now, EMO jogs a little bit east and west, but over this area, we've got another 10 days, at least here in Phoenix, of temperatures hitting 110 or better. And right now, we're sitting at the record of 20. We broke the record of 18. It's at 20. So we'll be adding on to this. We'll probably have 30-plus days. It's just incredible. This morning, get this, 93. Better than yesterday's all-time low of 97. There are a lot of places, Mike, that have not even hit 97 for a high back east, including Atlanta and up the eastern seaboard. Of course, we've had that cooler than average pattern for most of the summer. This is the way to go. I've got a cooler full of ice, and I've got about a dozen bottles of water. I'm through my second bottle now in less than an hour. I mean, you can't drink water fast enough in this kind of heat, and the humidity today, again, will be about 5%. This is the unofficial temperature. I had it in the shade, by the way, and it was reading 110 in the shade, but right now, just holding up a few minutes around my body, and out here in the sun, it's already up around 130. So it's going to be another scorcher, maybe another record high. We're heading for 118. And, you know, you think it's hot here. We've read about all the heat overseas in Europe, and we found a gentleman today from Madrid, and we asked him about the heat here compared to the heat back in Europe.
This is way more heat, and actually we're reaching super high point right now in Spain. We're reaching records, and that's a really bad situation, but it's nothing compared with Phoenix, that's for sure. Yeah, Phoenix is been like brutal.
Well, that puts it in perspective when you talk about temperatures that have been hitting 105 plus in France, in Spain, and even hotter as you get farther south and west. So, Mike Bettis, another day, hopefully not another deadly day. We've had 18 fatalities, heat-related, here in Maricopa County, and with no end in sight. You know, if you have elderly, check in on them, anybody that doesn't have air conditioning, which is hard to imagine in this part of the world, and also keep those pets safe because everything is just toasty. Nobody in the park right now except pigeons and geese. That's about it. A few people may wander out here later this evening.
Yeah.
I leave you with this.
Mike, like in the last hour, there's been like that guy walking behind you is like the only person we've seen in the last hour, but you can't blame him. You want to be inside right on days like today.
Yeah, you know, I can just feel it. Now, if you get in the shade, there is a bit of a breeze. Wind should pick up a little bit this afternoon. You get in the shade like right here under this palm tree, and you just kind of go zen and relax. It's still hot, but it's not, you know, it's all about the sun and the shade when it's in the summertime. It really takes the edge off the heat, finding some shade. Well, yeah, we got a gentleman walking through the park right here. Look at that, with his newspaper. My gosh. Hopefully he finds some shade and has some water.
Yeah, he's walking.
We'll be here all afternoon and into the weekend.
Mike, thank you very much. Appreciate the report from Mike Seidel. He is in Phoenix, Arizona for us. Arizona as a whole, though, really, really hot. Meteorologist Mike Seidel is joining us live right now. Mike, we mentioned it. Temperatures at night also incredibly warm. Temperatures haven't dropped below 90 in the better part of, what, a week now, about 10 days now. So we just simply cannot cool down at all.
No, the heat it doesn't cool down, and it heats right back up, and these are some of the longest days of the year, so we have shorter nights. Yes, 10 days in a row above 90. We're going to probably add another 8 or 10 to that. Right now, officially at the top of the hour, at 11 a.m. in Phoenix, it was 109 degrees. That's about where it was yesterday. We ended up at 119, their hottest day in 7 years. The humidity is about 15%, so the heat index is actually lower. Instead of 110 or 109, it feels like 107. And I can tell you, I don't notice a difference. But it is hot. And in the sun, that's the key here. We take the temperature in the shade. Look at the temperature on the thermometer up there around 150 plus. In fact, we don't even have, we couldn't find a thermometer that goes any higher marked than 140. So it goes to show you how hot it is in the sun. Try to find the shade. And boy, you can't drink enough water. I'm drinking about 2 20-ounce bottles of ice cold water per hour. Interestingly enough, we talked to a gentleman who went through some of the hottest weather ever in Portland, Oregon recently. Remember a year or so ago, they hit 115 or so? Well, we talked to him this morning comparing that heat, what he's used to what's going on here in Phoenix.
It's kind of amazing that anyone can actually live in a city like this, because we had a couple days like this in Portland a few years ago where it got up to like 115, and I remember just going outside is totally unbearable, even for like 5 minutes. So, yeah, everyone just must be blasting their AC the whole time. Imagine that. Yeah, it's hard to imagine living here for like periods of months where it's this hot.
But it is a great place to be from, say, October till May. Hey, this looks like a flash flood. It's not a flash flood. This is how they water in Canto Park. Mike Bettis, bi-weekly they flood. This is what they call flood irrigation. The water is bubbling up through from a outlet, a source, and they're trying to get the water around all these trees. They keep coming around and checking on it. Then they'll turn the water off, and they'll come back in 3 or 4 more days and do the whole process over. They also have irrigation in some of the grassy areas, which is more typical of what we see around homes and lawns. So interestingly, to come down the road and see all this water, and it hasn't rained here in literally months, but that's how they do it here in the park to make sure they can save these trees. I mean, even though it's a desert, these trees do need some water.
Yeah, I was going to ask you exactly that, Mike. How they have the swamp there when it's been so hot and so dry. So good explanation and how they get things done there in the Valley of the Sun. Mike Seidel for us in a scorching Phoenix. We'll check back with Mike in just a little bit. Alex, all right, let's talk about some more extreme heat, not just in places like Vegas. How about Phoenix, Arizona? It seems like we're breaking records every single day anymore. Mike Seidel is there for us right now. Mike, there's heat, and then there is what's going on now, right? Like, truly, Phoenix hasn't been through something like this before.
No, not the extent and the temperatures. 110 plus now. And I can safely say we've done it 21 days in a row. We'll get the official temperature here at the top of the hour, but they are 109 at 11 a.m. in the morning. The low this morning, 93, better than yesterday's morning, all-time low high, or all-time high minimum temperature at 97, so it puts it in perspective. But I mentioned this earlier. You think about how hot it's been in Atlanta and say, Washington and Philadelphia, and many of these areas in the East Coast have not gotten to 97 so far this summer, and they're not even getting down that low here yesterday morning. Now, as far as what we've seen activity-wise, it's pretty quiet out here. We've seen a couple of people. This morning, though, we were able to find some folks at the driving range, getting in a couple of buckets of golf balls before the heat really set in. You know, it's really about the sun. I was out this morning at sunrise, being on East Coast time. You know, your body, you get up and it's 5:30 the sunrise here. You go outside, it's 93 in the shade. There's a bit of a breeze, and it feels a whole lot different than yesterday when I got here, and it was nearly 120 degrees. So, Mike Bettis, all you can do is make sure you drink plenty of water. Stay hydrated. I think this is bottle number 6, and I've been out here about 2.5 hours. You know, as soon as you drink some, you feel thirsty once again. No break in sight. Next 10 days at least, 110 or better in the afternoon, and at night temperatures will stay above 90 degrees. Unlike last year, Mike, we don't have the monsoon flow. We don't have the moisture coming in here. That's not keeping the temperatures down, and we're not getting any rain at all for most areas in the Southwest.
Yeah, the monsoon hasn't kicked in yet, and the result is extreme temperatures for sure. Mike, thank you so much for the update. More water, my friend. We want to check in with meteorologist Mike Seidel because he is in the Valley of the Sun. He's in Phoenix, Arizona, where, Mike, the records are falling left and right here in Phoenix. And I know a lot of people that might be watching right now saying, listen, whatever, man. It is Phoenix. It is always hot. But this is a different kind of hot, isn't it?
It is. Their average high is 107. We're getting up to 115 or better just about every day. This is now 21 days in a row, 110 or better. That's the longest streak on record. And we're going to add another 7 to 10 days to that. There's no relief in sight. And remember, we take the temperature in the shade. Look at this in the sun. The thermometer has gone all the way around, and it's now, I mean, if you kind of put in the hatch marks, what is that, about 165 to 170 in the sun? And that's what it feels like, and that's off the dirt there, and it's even hotter off the asphalt. So very dangerous outside. There was really nobody in the park except what's behind me right now. We've got some ducks, we've got some Canadian geese, and they're enjoying the shade and the water. The reason the water's here, not because it hasn't rained here in months, but because they're irrigating. What they do here, they call it flood irrigation. They kind of flood this area until the water gets up to all these trees you can see, and then they turn it off. They do this twice a week. So this water, although a lot of it's evaporating, is soaking in and getting these roots nice and wet. And even though we're in the desert, by definition, less than 10 inches of rain on average a year, vegetation still needs some water, and so they're protecting their trees and their grass out here. So that's why you're seeing the water out here in Conto Park, not far from downtown Phoenix. We talked to some tourists who are in town. Now, this gentleman's from Portland, Oregon, where a couple of years ago they were up at 115. They set their all-time high, and we asked him what he's doing to deal with this heat here in Phoenix.
Taking a lot of precautions for the heat, but I don't think that, you know, having landed here, we've changed anything because of it. We were kind of prepared for it to be this hot, so we've, you know, just brought long sun shirts, a lot of, you know, sun protective gear, long hats. We're gonna wear sunscreen the whole time, and you know, hopefully we just can. We're going on a river trip, so hopefully we can just, you know, stay in the water as much as possible and stay cool.
Yes, try to stay cool, limit your time outside, drink water. And this has been a deadly heat wave. That goes without saying. 6 additional deaths reported yesterday by the Maricopa County Health Department. Now 18 in Maricopa County, and statewide at least 20 have died from this extensive heat wave. But Mike Bettis, this is just out of control. Now, I didn't push the thermometer up that high. That's in the sun. I can barely hold on to the plastic. It's so hot. But this gives you an idea, and even hotter coming off the asphalt. No relief in sight. The heat dome sticks around 110 or better, at least another 7 to 10 days. Overnight lows stay in the 90s, and no chance of rain, unlike which typically we see this time of the year would be the monsoon, which would keep the temperatures down, more humidity, and also some rainfall.
You know, Mike, we know they've had record-setting electricity demand there in Arizona, but we haven't heard of any power outages or brownouts or anything like that.
Haven't heard of any of those. I've not seen any of those on the power outage maps. People are, a lot of folks, obviously, just about everybody here has air conditioning, but there are some that don't have air conditioning, and those are the ones you really have to worry about and check in on. And be careful with your pets. Remember, the sidewalks, the asphalt's very hot. They can get first-degree burn, much like humans can, walking outside like this barefooted. So take care of anybody that's has to deal with the heat and get outside. That's the best way to go, and try to limit your time outside. Because of that, we're only out here twice an hour to stay cool and stay comfortable, well, relatively comfortable.
Yeah, right. Mike, thank you so much, and good advice there for sure. That's our Mike Seidel in Phoenix. More from Mike coming up in our next hour. Get to Mike Seidel. He is live right now in Phoenix, Arizona, kind of the poster child, if you will, for the heat these days. Mike, what are we now, 21 straight days at a temperature of 110 or higher. The monsoon has yet to kick in, so we're getting zero rain, let alone any clouds.
Exactly. Now 21 days in a row, 111 at 11 a.m. local. We'll see at noon if they get up to 114. That would take care or tie the record for today. Another record high, very likely today. Yeah, Mike mentioned nothing billowing anywhere around the Valley of the Sun, not a cloud in the sky. Humidity is running about 10 to 15%, so the heat index a couple degrees cooler, but it really doesn't matter. It's hot. If you're in the shade with a little bit of a breeze and you just stand there and keep your body hydrated, you can survive, but it's intense. There's the temperature right now coming off the cracked ground, about 145 to 150. So remember, the temperature reported is in the shade, but when you're out here in the sun, oh, there's a nice breeze. You know what it feels like? It feels like somebody has a hairdryer on my nose. That's what it feels like. So you've got to hydrate. But we talked to a gentleman from Spain, and it's been hot over there. But listen to what he has to say about the heat here.
It's like incredible. When I just came yesterday by night, it was night, and it was like 41 degrees Celsius, and it was incredible. You can totally feel the heat is like shocking you, it's like putting your air away. So yeah, it was really nasty.
Well, there you go. So it's been hotter here than Madrid. In fact, Madrid has cooled off a little bit. Going into the weekend, they'll be probably mid to upper 90s, which is not extreme for those areas. Mike Bettis, plenty of water. Stay hydrated. We'll be back here in the morning to talk about how hot it is tomorrow morning at sunrise here in Phoenix. Probably about another 93 or 94 at sunrise.
It's just overwhelming, Mike. Go get yourself some lemon ice or something, cool off. Good stuff from Mike Seidel. Thank you very much for your service, my friend.